Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Advice Guru podcast. Well, I'm delighted to be joined as usual by my partner in crime, Stuart Wilson. How are you today, Stu?
Good morning to you, sir. Yeah, I'm very well. It's a lovely, beautiful sunny day up here in Lytham, so I'm doing very well, sir.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? Yes, far nicer than the last one we recorded last week. It was tipping it down, but good to have a bit of sunshine today.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know if you remember or if our listeners remember, but last week we introduced the concept of the Guru Growth Model,
Mm.
which is us supporting a growth in consumers via empowering advisor growth. And we chatted quite a lot about that, Stu. How did you feel about that chat?
Yeah, it was great to kind of put a bit more flesh on the bones of that. It's a phrase and something we've been talking about, especially in our meetings over the last few weeks and months, isn't it? But to bring put some flesh on the bones, that bring that to life a bit last week was great. But I think what people are going to be really interested in now over the course of the next few weeks, the next few podcasts we do is really drilling down into some of that detail. So I'm looking forward to getting into the weeds of that and bringing that to life a bit more.
Absolutely. If I was an advisor listening to this, or a BDM listening to this, or someone within the industry, I'd be thinking, right, yeah, love the concept of guru. It's there to grow the market, but what does that mean for me? Well, as advisors today, we're going to be talking about lead growth. Um, I remember a quote from you last week, Stu, and I think you said something along the lines of it's the first three questions that advisors ask you as a marketing man. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Where can I get more leads? Where can I get more leads? And where can I get more leads? Is usually
Yeah.
where people start when, in fact, when you talk about marketing, that is what people immediately lead to. Marketing equals leads. And so I think it's naturally our number one. And it's where we really began our journey into morphing what was the original part of Advice Guru and helping consumers, educating consumers into the B2B elements of Advice Guru, which is helping advisors to help their customers and their prospects on their advice journey.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you and I identified that leads come in three shapes and sizes, really. One is paid leads,
Mm.
one is non-paid leads, but probably paid to get that lead in another way. And the third one is leads that you already had that hadn't yet done anything. So those are the three main areas that we've concentrated on. Just talk through a little bit about the Guru website and directory and how that has been helping our platinum and gold advisors with their lead generation.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I think the platform itself is an enormous resource of educational tools. There are courses on there are quizzes on there are scorecards on there, all of which is free. Um, and I think when we first launched that, we kind of imagined it predominantly as a consumer resource, but actually we've recognized very quickly that it's a fantastic resource for advisors. And whether you are a specialist advisor in this market, using it like, and I'll name check him directly, using it like someone like Adrian Cable,
Yeah.
who directly points his prospects to our website and says, Advice Guru is my educational partner. Go to their website, have a look around, let it answer some of the questions you've got in your head. It will probably open up more questions. Then we can have a proper chat and I'll walk you through and plug the gaps for you. So whether you're using it like that directly with your prospects as a way of keeping them close to you and your brand so they don't go elsewhere, or whether you're using it with your introducers to help them understand the market, to help them be able to answer simple, straightforward, everyday questions about later life lending that they probably don't or are not familiar or don't understand themselves. It's a great tool to help you create, nurture, and transform leads into business. And we've got actual case studies, we've got actual data supporting this, we've got examples of advisors doing just that and writing business that they otherwise wouldn't have got without the Advice Guru platform.
It's really interesting you say that, and some of the listeners may have heard this example, but I hark back to my best introducers, who are the Mortgage Quarter in Exeter, a great team there, James and his team, and they've been introducers for years and sent me the odd lead each month, and we're pretty consistent. But when we created the Guru website and the videos, I took it up to them, showed them everything, did a 3/4 an hour staff training session, and the number of leads I got in the following week, and in fairness, every week since has been phenomenal. And they're loving it because they have an opportunity to help a client in a way that they couldn't before. They understand more about what we do, but they don't want to advise on that area. They want to stay in their own lane. And everyone's happy, happy clients, happy introducer. I obviously pay them a percentage of each case. And it's a good part of my business. So if we can get more firms using us as, I love your phrase, educational resource, then that's going to only benefit the consumer. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's free. Yet the advisors don't have to pay us anything for that. They can just use that as a resource. Obviously, we have our membership tiers, which unlocks other things and other benefits, but it is a free resource that advisors can use. You can have a free directory listing, and that's something we've not talked about at great length yet, but the directory side of our website, which gives you a free way of promoting yourself, your business, your services, your specialities to potential consumers or potential prospects and clients, I should say, or even to other introducers, other advisors who could introduce business to you or vice versa. It's a fantastic tool and it is free to use at a basic level. So I would encourage advisors to start there. If you want more leads, free leads, non-paid for leads, that's a great way to start, is using our free resources to help you do that.
All right. I'm going to be a challenging advisor. You just said it's free to use at some level. So you get us in and then make us pay, do you? What's that about?
Well, we have our membership tiers. We have gold and platinum, which are very reasonably priced. Gold is 25 per month, £25 per month plus VAT, and platinum is 50 per month plus VAT. And what those levels of membership do is unlock additional benefits for you. So some of the tools that we develop, some of the support that we develop, we give our platinum and our gold members access to those tools, either exclusively or as a first look and VIP access. So there are additional benefits that you unlock by being a member of Advice Guru. But all of our Advice Guru website functionality, all of the content, all the educational content, the quizzes, the scorecards, all of that is free to use, and all of that can enhance your business. Whether or not you want to become a member of Advice Guru, it's a resource you can use to help your customers get to grips with their later life lending opportunities and residential lending benefits and opportunities as well.
Good. It's a good answer, Stu. I did set you up a little bit there, but it's what people think when they listen to it, right? And I guess the cost benefit is an analysis that every advisor should and does think about. And our next topic is paid leads. And why are we offering paid leads then? And why should advisors pay for leads? Because you and I started talking about this probably a year, 16 months ago. And one of the topics was, and we were having advisors saying to us, never paid for a lead in my life. Why would I pay for leads? I don't need to pay for leads. And it's an interesting thought process and concept, but we've moved a lot in our thoughts about paid leads, haven't we, since those days?
Yeah, I think so. And I think because there was a time and a place when paying for leads was maybe seen as a slightly grubby end of the advice spectrum, and probably, in fairness, years ago, the quality of leads coming through was not all that great. And so you could spend a lot of money and waste a lot of time on fairly poor quality prospects or leads. I think where things have changed is that not only is the quality improved if you know where to look, and clearly there are some firms that are better than others at doing that, but also in terms of actually, if you get the process right, this can be a great way to leverage and improve your business. It isn't for everyone. If you're a sort of word of mouth person, that's how you get your business. It's all done through client to client, member get member. That's fine. We're never going to convince you otherwise. But if you are looking to accelerate your business and you want to do it in a controlled way, you want to do it in a provably profitable way, we now have a system and we now have a process to help you do that. And that's really going back to what we said in the previous podcast. We're testing this stuff. We're getting real life data and statistics on this stuff, and then rolling that out to advisors and saying, there you go. If you copy and paste that, that can help you. And that's really where we're at with paid leads, is helping advisors that want to accelerate their business with a provable model.
Yeah, no, totally. And I've, as you know, I've experimented with a lot of these companies in the 12 months that we've been speaking about putting this on our website as
Mm,
something that we can help advisors with. And I've narrowed it down to probably four companies that I would say are really good.
mm,
Two I use, and one charges between 50 and £60 a lead, and they're leads. They're people who have been through a triage process so that they're eligible and interested, but they're very much at the early stages of their research. So you have to ensure you're talking to them in the right way, that you're nurturing them in the right way, you're giving the information they want to need, and that there's no desperation on either side
mm,
to convert, because those clients want to speak to someone. They want their fears to be discussed, the things they've heard about equity release, later life lending, the myths to be dispelled. They want to find out some initial information. They want a source of further information that they can go away and learn. We can provide that for advisors as well. And then they want to do it in their time, on their terms, and at a pace that they're comfortable with.
mm,
And all of those things lead to good conversion rates. And good conversion rates mean very happy clients. And we have a process where they leave reviews about their service, which helps your website, which helps your Google or your whatever you use to collect your reviews. So we've got a whole process there for paid leads, to the other end of the scale where actually you don't get leads, you get appointments booked in your diary. And I took the kids to school this morning, had a bleep on my phone at 8:30, dropped the kids off, had a look at my phone, and I had an appointment at 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock this morning, speaking to a lady I'd never spoken to before, who wanted to raise some funds to gift to her son and to go on holiday and enjoy life a little bit more. Had a lovely chat with her, and we're speaking again next week. I've introduced her to the website. She'll be doing some learning over the next week. But that was someone I didn't have to call, didn't have to
mm.
text her, didn't have to persuade to join me on a call. She was booked in my diary. So we offer both ends of that scale and provable statistics. It's no coincidence that last tax year was a very good year for my business, it being its first full year. And April has been the busiest month that I've ever had. So yeah, we can prove these things work, Stu, and I think that's fundamental.
Absolutely. I think the once you look behind that and look at the mechanics of how that works and the lead nurture system that helps generate those leads and generate those appointments. It's at the heart really of what we were talking about on the first podcast about harnessing the benefits of AI, harnessing the benefits of automation so that you can quite literally be doing something else, whether it's dropping the kids off at school or taking the dog for a walk, whilst an appointment with a really good prospect is being put into your diary, ready for you to phone them half an hour later. It means you can be doing something productive with your time, or even completely unproductive. You could be sat there watching TV or whatever, but it's something you're doing with your time that isn't being spent chasing on the phone, trying to get appointments with people. It's an example of how AI and automation and these processes can really make a difference to
I,
advisors' businesses.
I felt my quality of life improved in April, and yet I did more cases than ever before.
Mm,
So that balance, you do not realize how much time you spend phoning people who are not that interested, who are avoiding you, who don't like calls from anonymous numbers, or are just bloody busy. People's lives are busy. So you're keen on talking to them about later life lending because that's what you do as a job.
yeah.
It's 1% of their world most of the time because the other 99% is life. So if I've got someone who's making those calls for me or a system that does them, then I'm a happy advisor. And
Mm,
that does lead me really nicely into our latest tech that we are still trialing, um,
mm,
which is the lead nurture guru stuff. So we've got
mm,
lead nurture, which is for old cold leads, and we've got mover nurture, which is for people who we know want to move home. But as the market isn't very buoyant, the moving market isn't very buoyant, or as we know, an awful lot of our older clients have been living in their property for a long time and they're starting to look to downsize. And many of them are hugely disappointed with the stock that's out there and actually take a long time to find somewhere to move. And you haven't got the time to keep in touch. And if you do keep in touch with them, that's great. But generally, we don't. Therefore, they go somewhere else because the estate agent said, oh, I know an activities advisor, or we've got an advisor here. So by nurturing those cold leads that we couldn't get hold of, by having a mover nurture tool,
mm,
I'm finding that I've got so much more time.
mm.
What's your thoughts on lead nurturing? It's actually by text, this one.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think again, it's about the harnessing of that technology. I read a report. I think the data might have been a couple of years out, or a couple of years old. But I read a report the other day about in the financial services industry in the UK. Apparently, the average advisor spends about loses about 10 hours a week, 10 hours a week, or something like that on just admin stuff, admin day-to-day stuff that isn't going to generate new business. And I think this is a good example, just picking up on what you said a moment ago. You felt like you did more business in April, and yet your quality of life improved because you had more time to do the nice things because AI and automation and tools were doing some of the grunt work behind the scenes that you didn't have to do,
Yeah.
making the phone calls, sending the text messages, booking the appointments, qualifying the leads. All of that was happening in the background, a lot of it driven by AI and automation that you didn't have to do. And I think if we can save some of those hours every week, we won't save all 10 because there's always admin to do, right? You can't necessarily get rid of all of your admin. But if we can cut down some of those hours, give you back 3, 4, 5 hours a week, that you could be spending doing other things, like anything from being unproductive, just sitting on the watching TV, or spending those 5 hours talking to more prospects, talking to more clients, doing more client reviews, whatever it is, writing more content for your website, being more productive, then that's got to be a great thing. So it's an amazing process, and looking forward to rolling that out and getting more advisors using it.
Yeah, and I take us back to the strap line that you came up with for Guru Growth Model, which is supporting the growth in consumers by empowering advisor growth. Well, if the lead growth model doesn't prove that more than probably any other of the 5 areas we'll talk about in coming weeks. I don't know what does, but as ever, let's put some stats behind it. So I only had 100 cold leads. So I used this process, set it up, and have had 8 appointments in the first 3 weeks from those. We actually continue the process of contacting the clients, and actually it texts the client and starts an AI conversation with them. And I've seen the conversations, Stu, and the conversations are better than conversations I have by text, because I'm fingers and thumbs. I'm not a 12-year-old. My 13-year-old daughter can do, probably 100 words a minute on text. I'm probably 10 words a minute. So I don't do long texts and I don't ask lots of questions. The AI does, and it learns about that client. It knows about that client and it has great conversations. And then when the client is ready to have an appointment, it books it in my diary. If the client says, no, thank you, not interested anymore, it tells me that so I can remove them from my marketing. If the client says, do you know what, we're going to have a really nice few months, have summer off, can you contact us in September? It contacts them in September. So all of those things you've promised to do, all those things you haven't got time to do, it does for you. And we've worked, had a look at a couple of companies, and we know some of the technology behind this, but I decided to work with a partner on it, and they're a lovely couple who've emigrated to Portugal. And despite having no power, they do a great job, and they will set up exactly what we set up for your company, and we'll charge a nominal fee per month for that, and we'll be like your introducer. And what we'll actually do is we'll agree a percentage of any completed case. So you'll have a nominal fee to pay each month. And if none of those cases bank, you don't pay anything more. So the model we've created is a model that I know a lot of advisors like, because it makes the partner work hard, and advisors want their partners to work as hard as them to fill their diary with people that want to go ahead. So yeah, that's probably the most exciting thing for me, is that model. And I'll next week we start a trial with an advisor who's got 1,200 leads that he wants us to nurture. And if we have the same 8% strike rate, there's going to be about 100 appointments going into his and his team's diary. Stu, I'm going to say that again. There's going to be nearly 100 appointments going in his and his team's diary. Wow.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. The power of AI, the power of technology, and the power of the Guru growth model. Amazing.
Nice finish, I think. Nice point to finish. Hopefully the listeners have learned something there and are interested in finding out more. So please get in contact, either message on the podcast itself or email Stu or I, LinkedIn message us, or come onto the website and leave a message there. But next week, Stu, I think we're going to be talking about advisors growing their relationships with lenders, aren't we?
Yes, loads of amazing support out there if you know where to look, and we know where to look. So yeah, join us for that, and we'll reveal more.
Fabulous. Thanks for your time, Stu, and we'll catch up with everyone next week.
See you soon.